You look good, you feel good, you play good. That's somebody said that once, and Miami following suit, as has been their history. We appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football Hurricanes live right here at the Voice of College Football, breaking down Miami football. And we can only do it because we get this guy on board. As always, Cam Letter with State of the U.
What's going on, guys? As Prop Joe once said in The Wire, look the part, be the part. He added an expletive on the end of that, but hey. But yeah, man. So we got refreshed black jerseys, which, I mean, if you're watching the pod, I'm wearing my black It's All About the U shirt with majority orange writing, which is an Adidas piece of gear, which kind of mirrors exactly what the design is. It's it's more... Okay. Let me take it back. So Miami released the updated jerseys for this year, which is just like a little bit of styling. Obviously, the new Adidas jersey tech and everything. They didn't really push that forward. But the end of the first video, it ends in black, and it's like black. It's in the practice facility, backlit player, and it's like a black silhouette, and you can tell he's wearing a black jersey. And I knew that they were tame design, but engagement and everything on social. So I quoted it from the State of the account, was like, "Yo, black jerseys, like da da da." And Gabby Rudia, who knows, responded. He was like, "Yeah, I think it's just going to be more of a refresh than a thing." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I get it, but like everybody loves talking about the black jersey, so I figured I would just kind of dip my toe back in the content creation water on that and everything." And yeah, they're a more simple design, big Oregon State vibes. Those are not the jerseys. Okay. Those are the last ones. If you go, let me see if I can find.
Those look like Oregon vibes to me.
No, yeah, they're big.
You can wear those.
I
remember seeing those.
Excuse me, I forget. We got blown out in some game wearing those. But where is... It's not on the Hurricane Sports website. Let me pull it from the Magic Twitter machine, because I know that I tweeted it from Underwood Sports, which you should be following. And I mean you listening, not you, Mark, because Mark clearly is. But here, well, no, that's... Let's see if I can find the one with the still pictures, not with the video. Here we go. I'm going to drop this in the Chatterino. Right there. Sorry, doing some live producing of the show and everything, but it's a lot like this shirt. Again, it's big Oregon State vibes. The previous ones were kind of like the highlighter colors and everything, and like more. Yeah, so you can see that there. Michelle Powell. You can click on those to enlarge each individual picture.
Oregon State vibes. Okay, yeah, I either misheard you. I thought you said, unis and Oregon just automatically go together. So that's maybe what I heard.
And I was also like looking, so I was like half talking to you and half like thinking about like where I was navigating to try to find it. But yeah, as you can see, these are big Oregon State vibes. It's the same kind of silhouette and design as the other three jerseys, orange, green, and white, and everything. Black helmet with the center stripe. And everything. You remove the green detailing, so it's all orange with black detailing around the orange letter. That's why it's just like it's all black and orange. Like I said, it's big Oregon State vibes this is more of a additional option in the regular rotation as opposed to like the previous iteration of the like blackout jerseys that had like the Miami Knights and kind of had the highlight and kind of had like it was like a real special jersey. This is a simple in rotation alternate more than like a specially designed kind of a thing. But yeah, so those are the black jerseys for this year. I love black jerseys. You love black jerseys. We all love black jerseys. We don't love the results that have happened in the black jerseys recently, but yeah, you can see all of the detailing. There's green inside the collar. You can't really see it from this picture set. It's in another picture set that they put up on social. So that's really the only green in the jersey is like inside the jersey collar and everything. But Yeah, and then obviously you have the center outside collar logo, which obviously has the iconic U in orange and green. So that's really the only green on the jerseys, on these black jerseys. But I think having a black jersey is it's a statement thing. It's a bad boys of college football thing. I know that there are some schools, like I said, Oregon State, that is their standard kind of palette and everything. So it would take a playoff appearance or something like a national championship, or not a national championship game, but I mean, yeah, one of those, like an ACC championship game or something that would like maybe possibly precipitate Adidas designing something special, like that they're holding back. And we've seen them afterwards, and some of us before, and heard tell in previous years, there have been special designs ready and waiting if the team achieves a level of success that would then, maybe make it a moment to debut something that's super duper secret special. But we haven't gotten there. So, and this is a la, Mario Cristobal and Mark Richt being very aligned on the, hey, we're going to go simple pretty much on our designs, throwback classic. Obviously we have 3 colors because we wear orange and green and white. Because orange and green, both at home, white on the road with whatever combination of pants and things like that. So we have a little bit more flexibility than like some other schools. Like we're not Penn State, which is white, blue, white helmet. The jersey is dependent upon if we're home or road. Like it's not that much of like a traditional look, but the design is more of a traditional kind of styling and everything. I saw some people complaining about Adidas versus Nike on these jerseys. Honestly, these are fine. These are utilitarian. And I get it. Like now, if Miami were winning a lot, I think that you might like these jerseys a little bit more. But there you have it, the 2024 iteration of the black jerseys, ready to go for a night game coming near you.
I don't know that I can think of any brand in college football that has not had some form of alternate jersey and gear except the one that you just named, Penn State, and I believe Alabama.
I feel like Alabama had an alternate maybe once. But yeah, I think that those would maybe be the 2. Well, yeah, but I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I think it's pretty much them. He's like, because everybody else had. What has SC had a special jersey?
Yeah, maybe they haven't.
I don't think they have. I know that UCLA has, because they were Adidas and they're like, the other school in LA. They're not like the school, they're the other one. But yeah, it's like really Alabama, Penn State. If there are others, I can't think of them off the top of my head. Because like even Michigan has done some really, oh my god, the Denard Robinson days and things like that. They had some gnarly things, and they would do that opposite Notre Dame doing some really gnarly stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking about, oh, well, maybe wasn't them. So yeah, but anyway, those are what the jerseys look like. Hopefully Miami wins a bunch of games wearing this version of the jerseys, both this year and, well, I don't know if they're going to run it back next year, but that's the most important part. I know a lot of people are, more focused on the result than the fashion. I get it. It's just a thing that I know always gets people going and wanted to bring it up. So yeah.
Maybe Texas. Falconer TRX, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that. Super sticker from you. Thanks for leading us off as always. And then we've got Falconer coming back with Miami was great when Miami had classic uniforms.
This is very true. I saw there were a couple of football nostalgia websites going back over the 2001 roster. Like, oh my God, that they had Willis McGahee, Clinton Portis, and Frank Gore in the same running back room? Yes, and we told y'all then, like you remember the 2000 team? Because I do. That was my freshman year. And the number 1 recruit in America, DJ Williams, didn't even play his position because there was no room or snaps for him at linebacker. So he said, what we're going to do is we're going to play you at fullback on offense your freshman year and specials. So he played fullback, number 17, DJ Williams. Go look it up. From Concord De La Salle High School, number 1 recruit in America, came to Miami, played fullback his freshman year and special teams because the trio of linebackers in front of him was not letting him get on the field. And it was entirely by intent that they got him snaps so he didn't leave and then became like, first round draft pick and, the DJ Williams that y'all know now. It's 100% true. I was there and saw it firsthand as a freshman. Go look it up. Also, before we go on, I did a quick Google because I thought I remember this. Texas actually had black uniforms. They did black and they had orange on the shoulder kind of a thing. So those were some of those that I've seen. Kobe Boyce stitched jersey I can see is for purchase in that colorway. So I've seen I just wanted to go over that they're not one of the ones who's not had an alternate, but yeah.
I guess Iowa has, but I can't think of what they looked like.
Ooh,
they may not.
Color rush.
Falconer coming back with this one. Orange and green and white from the orange tree.
Those are the colors of the University of Miami. And that's where it comes from, in case you didn't know. Why are the colors orange and green and white? Why is that logo like that you see over Mark's shoulder there? That's where it comes from. They are the colors of the parts of the orange tree. So the orange being the leaves, the green, the green being the leaves, orange being the fruit, and the white being the blossom of the flower of that tree. So all the little parts and pieces matter, and that's where we get the colors of our beloved University of Miami from. And Iowa went basically all gold with a little bit of black detailing for their alternates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess Iowa has. Usually when these first took hold, after Oregon went crazy and Maryland with their uniform departure from the traditional look 15 years ago or so, I enjoyed the variations, even bad uniforms, ugly uniforms, or bland uniforms became pristine and sharp with either the chrome helmets, something like a Wake Forest looked good with the black instead of the dull black and the traditional helmets once they went to the chrome helmets, or they went with the matted look that I thought in a lot of cases looked good for a lot of teams that didn't necessarily, again, have nice looking uniforms in my estimation. Suddenly they were given a spark and a shine. But I don't recall Iowa. Okay.
Yeah, it was different. I just Googled it, but yeah, it's all gold. They had some kind of like feather design, kind of like from the just like up here. That was black, and then like the normal helmet. But yeah, interesting kind of. It was almost like an NFL color rush jersey. It was like that kind of highlighter yellow.
Because they're also one of the few that never went with any kind of chrome or matted look or anything.
I don't think that would play well in Iowa, but I will say, and I mentioned this, I don't remember when. I did mention that Hayden Fry, their longtime legendary coach, was a psychology major, and painted the opposing locker room like light pink because that was thought to engender passivity of the opponent. It's still that color, by the way. Yes. I didn't know that was like I knew that it had happened. I thought that they had changed. No. It is still that 1960s muted pink, like. Yeah, they still do that up there. So it's an interesting kind of a thing, but yeah.
We do our Iowa show, everyone, Tuesday nights at 5:30, and they just redid the locker rooms, and it looks like a arcade in there. It's just, there are lights everywhere and so forth. So anyway, it's very impressive, just like a zillion other teams at this point. But then when you Google the Iowa locker room, because it was such a story about them painting the opposing locker rooms pink way back when, that's what comes up mostly are the pictures of the pink locker rooms. And yes, it was confirmed by our guy on Tuesday night that yes, they are still painted pink, and they're very basic. You just have your, it looks like 1960, just your stall and your folding chairs hung right there, and that's all you've got. and it's all pink because it was proven at one point that that tends to kind of suppress emotion and kind of sedate people.
Yeah.
Good tactic. Governor TRX, appreciate you being here. Never seen an orange and blue and white alligator.
No, have not. I saw an alligator with a black eye though when they ran up on Bourbon Street and Alex Brown got done up. I remember that.
Chi-Town Kane getting us started on the football here. So we'll go right into recruiting. Word is Miami is looking good for Pickett and Dallas Wilson, who is making an announcement tonight. Cam, how are you feeling about Coach Chevis Jackson?
Chevis Jackson, I think, has already proven that he's, worth his salt in terms of recruiting. As I go over to the Miami class from 25, he was involved in recruiting Amari Wallace from Miami Central, also Hylton Stubbs from Jacksonville Mandarin, former USC commit, just flipped to Miami on the 4th of July. Forgot to mention him during last week's show on the 3rd. Also, Chris Ewald, the All-American from Chaminade, Madonna, he's good. And I mean, obviously you want to continue to add talent and everything, but yeah, if you scroll down just a little bit more to the corners, they should be coming up very shortly. Yep, keep going right there. Boom. Amari Wallace and Chris Ewald, 4-star, and Chris Ewald is on the Chaminade defense is one of those guys. Obviously, he played with Zaquan Patterson, who was there last year and everything, but Chevis Jackson coming in and getting those two guys right away, I'm good with. Now, in terms of DJ Pickett, 5-star All-American, top 10 or 5 player in America, 6'4" cornerback. His father played here. His cousin is Booker Pickett, who just signed as a edge rusher in the previous class. He's friends with a lot of guys and everything that are here. This is a marquee matchup. This is not, how your college basketball team has the preseason tournament against South Carolina State upstate, or something like that. You're I'm not really gonna watch that one or whatever. And then they have the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and Miami goes to Bloomington, Indiana, and plays at iconic Assembly Hall. Hey, maybe I'm gonna okay, we're gonna be really dialed in. This is an incredible team. This is legacy and things like that. I think that this recruitment of DJ Pickett is one of those games. It is the opener in Atlanta against Alabama. It is the, annual game against, Florida State or whatever. This is one of those guys. And at the very, very top of the list, now he plays defense and not often, not wide receiver. So it's not the exact same, but it's very analogous. And he's also from up the road a little bit. But all of the other things are true. 5-star All-American, everybody wants him, has family ties as in his father, has family ties as in his cousin just signed here, has other friends that are on this roster and everything, plays with guys who have been recruited to Miami, the guys who are committed to Miami recruiting him. It's the top 3 are Miami, Oregon, and LSU. And when you're looking at who's hot in recruiting, Miami obviously has leveled up, had a top 5, top 8 class years ago, top 5 class last year. Oregon speaks for itself. They're cooking. And then LSU, when it comes to defensive backs, for long as you can remember, they've been at or near the top. So that 3-way heavyweight bout is really, really going to be key. This is another unicorn game changer recruit. I know that our staff recruits tirelessly, and we're not going to just give up without a fight. I don't feel confident, and maybe that's me bringing my own anxiety from past failures on the recruiting trail to this conversation. But I need to hear him say going to Miami, boom, boom. And also, even if he does pick Miami, or even if he does not, the story ain't over. Because if you remember, Cormani McClain and the loafers, the big boy steppers, committed to Miami and everything. Oh, I'm coming to Miami. Why everybody asking me? Is Cormani McClain a Miami Hurricane? Has he ever been? No. He not a day on campus. Likewise, Justin Scott, 5-star All-American, right? Defensive tackle from Chicago, announced to a school other than Miami, but in the end enrolled in Miami. So I say that to say that regardless of what the move is with DJ Pickett, the story's not over. But I'm not even once bitten. I'm like 18 times bitten with this kind of recruit at one of these wide receiver cornerback positions, trying to go after them and missing on them. So me, myself personally, I am not very confident. But hopefully Chevis Jackson and the staff prove me wrong. And like I said, he's already done great work, and this would really elevate his recruiting in my eyes if he were to get DJ Pickett. The other one that you asked about is Dallas Wilson, a 5-star wide receiver who was committed to the University of Oregon from Tampa Bay Tech. I don't believe it at all that he's coming here. I'll believe it when I see it. And again, also, you're already committed to Oregon. Now, I know that people flip. Cam, Ray Joseph was committed to Clemson, and he wears number 5 for your Miami Hurricanes, and they never lose anybody in recruiting, which is true and true and true and true. So, yes, there are counterfactuals to what I am saying. Oregon is one of them ones right now, respectfully. And yeah, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable or confident about Dallas Wilson. I would love to be wrong. I don't feel comfortable or confident about DJ Pickett. I would love to be wrong. But that's just me. But even absent that, with what's already been seen from Chevis Jackson, I feel very good about his coaching and development. I feel very good about his recruiting. I would feel great about it if he were able to lock down DJ Pickett, and then also Kevin Beard doing yeoman's work to get Dallas Wilson. I would love both of those things.
Leroy, the Black Ninja Turtle, thank you so much for your contribution. Hey, Cam, about a month and a half ago, I asked about our recruiting ranking being at number 27. Oh my, how things have changed quickly.
And I told you they would. A couple of years ago, everybody was like, oh, it has to be by July 4th. Didn't happen by July 4th, and there was a run of commits like the 7th through the 11th of July. This year, it actually happened before and on July 4th. But yeah, again, trust the process. Let Mario and company cook. At present, Miami's class stands at number 10 in the country, still in it for a lot of big fish, and we just got another couple All-American recruits to commit in the last week in Drake Stubbs and S.J. Alofatuli. The latter, who profiles as an interior lineman, could even be the center of the future as a top 60 player in America out of Bishop Gorman. Hylton, a.k.a. Drake Stubbs from Jacksonville Mandarin, he's another guy who's an All-American, was committed to USC, decommitted from them, and is going to Miami. Now, look, these are the latest guys who just came in the boat, and we still got room for more. So yeah, when you're adding, a Susu or S.J. Alofatuli, again, who's in the 247. So they inverted it. 247's on top of the composite rankings now. It used to be the other way, I thought. Either way, on 247 rankings, the number 2 interior offensive lineman in the country, number 2 in the state of Nevada, number 56 overall. In the composite, number 3 interior offensive lineman in the country, number 3 in the state of Nevada, and number 75 overall. Yeah, that's a guy that I'm taking on my team any day of the week and twice on Saturday. So, this is when classes are built. This is when the staff is designed to make moves, because you had the visit window earlier in April. Sorry, it was May into June, and then you make those moves, and then you get those commitments going into the season. So I think that we're right on track. I told you to, be patient with the process then. I think that you were patient with the process then, and you're reaping the rewards, and we will continue to move forward now. But yeah, at that time, 27 was the current state, but we were cooking on it, working on it. The work has been done and will continue to be done, because I do think that this is going to be another top 10, borderline top 5 class.
Let's see, it would have been one day after we got together last week for Hurricanes Live. Again, everyone, that's Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And lo and behold, here we are. So make that a staple of your week. Hylton Stubbs, 6'1", that you referred to as a top 100 player, 10th rated at his position, whatever position that's going to turn out to be. I don't know. Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, he's a safety all day. I know that on the list, he's listed as an athlete, but if you go into his player profile, he's listed as safety. Like, we recruited him to play safety. He's a guy who plays safety. He's even Drake Stubbs, after he committed, said, hey, this is what it's going to be. Me and Zaquan Patterson, the best safety duo in America. Be mad, debate your mom who can't cook anyway. Like, he stood on business and said it with his chest. So, yeah, this is a kid who, like I said, was committed to USC, has great size for the position. He plays physically. He's quick and fast. 247 on the composite, nearly top 50, number 5 safety in the country, number 8 in overall in the state of Florida. 247 has him ranked a little bit lower, 99 in the country, 10 at safety, and 17 in the state of Florida. Even with either ranking and rating or whatever evaluation, this is another guy that I'm taking on my team any day of the week and twice on Saturday. This is a guy that you fight these battles for. Now, you hopefully can go back to Jacksonville Mandarin and have Drake Stubbs do some recruiting for you and be like, hey, Jamie Double F French, why don't you come down the road with me to Miami instead of going to Texas, which seems to be the team in front of his recruitment right now. Jamie French, spelled with 2 Fs, which is why I said double F. Jamie French, 5-star wide receiver. Everybody in America wants this kid, right? Plays with Stubbs at Jacksonville Mandarin. I mean, look, we've seen so many teammates, commit places, whether it's the trio from Palmetto that year, whether you want to go back to the Gulliver prep days, whether, I'm going to say it because I worked there and I saw them every day. Tracy Howard and Malcolm Lewis at Miramar. You want to go to St. Thomas Aquinas. You want to go to Chaminade with, those guys. There's a long history of like teammates going and continuing their careers together. Not saying it'll happen with Jamie Double F French, but why not go for it? You know what I mean? But yeah, this is another kid who's an All-American. I think first team All-State as a junior. I had to go look up his actual numbers and everything, but another kid that, everybody wanted. He committed to USC. A coach from in the recruiting rules, I reference a coach telling me that they only go outside of their footprint, we'll call it, for all conference players, All-Americans, and first-round picks. If you're not one of those, we're not leaving our home recruiting grounds for that. And so it just proves that when you have a school the caliber of USC, they went all the way across the country to go get a Drake Stubbs. Miami doesn't do that for just everybody. USC doesn't do that for just everybody. Georgia doesn't do that for just everybody. They do it for guys. And then that guy said, you know what? Y'all can keep that LA stuff. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to go to Miami. That's a big get. Excuse me. Rav, Pickett is this cycle's bane. He will end up in Miami no matter what he does in the offseason. Okay. I don't necessarily agree, but I would love for you to be right and me to be wrong. And you come back in here later and say, hey, Cam, you remember in July when I said no matter what happens, DJ Pickett was going to end up at Miami? I told you so. I will find something delicious and I will eat that that pie and I will say, hey, you were right, and I will give you that credit. I would love for that to be the case. Again, maybe I'm bringing in my past recruiting trauma to it, but I hope that you're right on that. But I know for a fact that Miami has been right on the recruiting trail recently. A couple of more 4-star All-Americans in the boat, going after some more big fish. And I like where we stand in terms of the overall recruiting class. Still got work to do, but we're going to keep pushing.
Hylton Stubbs in 2023, 97 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 6 pass breakups, 2.5 sacks. He also forced 2 fumbles and recovered 3.
Yeah, that'll work. that will most decidedly work. So, yeah, man. And Jacksonville Mandarin lost in the state championship game, by the way. So everything that he did on defense, and then like everything that Double F French did on offense, it wasn't just like empty calories for a team that ended up like years and years ago. I said that Flanagan High School was like the best 5-5 team in America. They had Justin Ferguson, the wide receiver, who went to like Notre Dame on that team. They had a couple other like big time D1 players, but like Cypress Bay was really good. Miramar was really good. They had a couple of non-conference games against like Boyd Anderson, who's a small numbers team, but always very talented, things like that. And they also played St. Thomas Aquinas. They had all this talent, but they were like the best 5-5 team in America. And you're like, how in the hell is this kid from 5-5 Flanagan, who like never did anything, right, going to like Notre Dame and Pittsburgh and like da-da-da? How? And they're not that good. I say that to say that like Jacksonville Mandarin was not even that, where these guys were cooking on an average team. They got to the state championship game where they ended up losing. Like, brother, these are guys who have done it time and time again at the Optimist level, the 7-on-7 level, and here at the high school level. These are guys you want on your team, and I'm really, really glad with where the recruiting is going.
Folks, if you've joined us for a while, you know that you ultimately produce the show. So leave those comments and questions there in the chat. We appreciate the super chat contributions. Cam's here with us every Wednesday, 7 Eastern time. Every day, the stops at stateoftheu.com. What's going on there these days with ACC kickoff, meaning media days, folks, not kickoff on the field, of course, in just about 2 weeks.
Yeah, just about 2 weeks. So I did write about the upcoming marquee non-conference game in 2027, the opener, the Las Vegas kickoff, where the U will face, or well, University of Utah will face off against the real U, the University of Miami. So I know that they try and say, oh, we're the whatever. No. So the University of Utah will face off against the U in Las Vegas Labor Day weekend 2027. So start saving your pennies and nickels and everything to go out for that. And everything. That'll be, I mean, again, I know, and it'll be interesting. Like I saw people put up internet polls after that. So will Miami versus Utah in 2027, is that a Big 12 conference game? Is that like a Big 10 conference? Is it like, whatever it is, because the changing state of alignment, who knows? But yeah, I think that that's a good get for the future schedule. It's a one-off game in the ESPN-owned Las Vegas kickoff, joining South Carolina, I believe, on the non-conference schedule in 2027 and things like that. So which Miami plays twice. Got Florida twice. Got Notre Dame coming up a couple times. There's another school on the non-conference, in the future that I miss forgetting. But yeah, another marquee game. And a chance to just have the brand on display, and hopefully the team will, rise to the occasion. I also saw a bunch of journalists joking and saying, hasn't Mario Cristobal learned about going to play, have his team play play Utah in Las Vegas? Because last time that happened, the Pac-12 championship game a few years ago, did not go well for him and his squad. But I thought that was fun. I mean, it's true and funny. So, I mean, hey, you can laugh at jokes because jokes are funny. But yeah, that was one of the things up there. Justin Tattavio doing a lot of his summer scheming series, looking at the scheme that our opponents have employed in the past and how that might impact games upcoming and several other things. So that is a taste of what we got going at State of the U in the near future. And yeah, you see the future schedule. So in 2024, obviously our marquee non-conference game is at Florida and then also at USF, which is the one away. So it's 2-1, but they get the one first. So if you see that, also USF at home in 25 and 28. So that's the 3-game series. We host Florida in 25, and also Notre Dame is to be, and also hosting Notre Dame in 25, at Notre Dame and at South Carolina in 26 versus Utah, and then hosting South Carolina in 27. And then we're back with at Notre Dame in 28. It's Auburn in 29 and 30. That's who I forgot. And then more Notre Dame because of the ACC tangential agreement in other future years. So, yeah, just in the next few years, 2 against Florida, 2 against South Carolina, 1 or 2 against Notre Dame, one off against Utah and 2 against Auburn, all those between now and 2030. So plenty of opportunities for big marquee games to continue to get, a big game in front of the eyes of the nation. And hopefully some of our conference games can be things of that nature as well, as long as the team is winning. But in terms of building out future schedules and getting known brands on the schedule, I'm with it. And I mean, look, think about it. They had home and home. Auburn did with Penn State, so that's another, kind of a thing where that's been a good series. And obviously, Florida stopped ducking us finally. South Carolina, they're not necessarily world beaters, but they're a known Power 4 team, and then obviously Notre Dame, who I hate, but I will say that they are a quality opponent at a bare minimum. So I think that it's good to have all these things going. You want to have these marquee games. And it just continues that mentality from those of us who played the previous iterations of the college football video game, which is coming back next week, that you want to have a solid, strength of schedule where you have name brand programs on the schedule for your created and controlled team. And in real life, Miami is doing that. And in a very short time, I will be doing that as the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes and other teams in my video game as well.
I am pretty airtight when it comes to remembering non-conference games, not necessarily outside the Power 5, but throughout my lifetime, I just remember scores and games. I do not recall Miami ever playing Utah. Don't believe that's happened. Again, during my viewing days, so we're going back to 1980. Miami and South Carolina, of course, played in the Weed Whacker Bowl in Shreveport. The Independence Bowl there was a 4th down play and Miami didn't get it and lost the game, right? This was like 2014.
2014, exactly. Yep. Al Golden versus Steve Spurrier, 24-21 South Carolina.
And let's see, Miami and Auburn actually had an interesting vote for a national championship. Of course, Miami's first in 1983. Auburn also went 11-1, and they played in the Kickoff Classic the very next year at the Meadowlands in one of the very first Kickoff Classics.
Yep, and Miami
20-18.
20-18, very true. And all of those things are absolutely accurate. So yeah, that's a very good note from Miami's first championship, and then the next year got that right. Definitely mind like a steel trap on the South Carolina bowl game. And also, you are correct. The University of Utah and the real U have never played. So this will be the inaugural matchup between Miami and Utah in 2027. So that will be a very nice event. I don't know what my boy Marshall Thomas is going to do, being a Utah fan, but also a Miami fan. I mean, hey.
It's an odd combination.
Family, he's from out there and everything. So obviously when you're from that side of the country or, that location, you pick one. It's going to be either Utah or BYU, and him and his family, Utah and everything. So he's kind of in the position that I would be if Miami ever played Michigan. Like at a certain point, like you got to, we're going with the land of, of my choosing or of my birth and nurture. So, you got to, well, I would say nurture because I was born in Southern California, but whatever. But yeah, you got to, hey, rubber is going to meet road sometime. You got to pick it. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to text him about it to see which side he decides to go with. But a few years away from that, but it'll be really interesting. So yeah, very excited.
Yes, I say that's odd, but actually that makes more sense than somebody who would say, oh, I'm a South Carolina fan and a NC State fan. Okay, well, that's kind of strange. Anyway, we will get back to I actually have a theory and implementation of that theory in my national championship reviews of 1983, which actually I won't go into right now, but produces 4 national champions.
Interesting.
Okay. Chi-Town Kane, appreciate you being here, the voice of college football. What's a score prediction already on the trip to Gainesville?
Miami more than Florida. I mean, it could be by 1 or 100. I don't care. We're not losing that game.
there is, I believe, more pressure on Miami because there's an expectation of having a big season.
Yep.
And I could see some doubt possibly creeping in.
Yep.
If not to the players and coaches, certainly to the fan base and skeptics. However, just from a record standpoint, Miami can certainly recover from a loss against Florida, while Florida needs to get as many wins as they can possibly get wherever they can find them.
No, absolutely. But yeah, I just don't. Yeah. Like, I'm not entertaining a universe, a multiverse, whatever you want to call it, where we lose to them. Like, and I know that, yeah, appreciate the super chat and everything and like whatnot, but like, I just, again, like I stopped doing recruiting percentages years ago. And in this, like, score predictions, like I'm sure that we'll, do those week of the game, on stateoftheu.com. So like I'll check back then, but like at this point, we're winning the game. The end. That's all I got.
Miami's probably only a 3 or 4 point favorite.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Vegas.
So it's not like it's not conceivable.
It is inconceivable, to quote The Princess Bride. Inconceivable. Yeah, exactly. No. No.
I'll give you a 24-20 Miami win. There's your score, Chi-Town Kane. All right. Falconer TRX. Gators loud about winning game 1. Not happening.
They are very vocal. Vegas Insider doesn't have any future or early lines on that? Really? And you pull those from all over the internet? Really? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, they are flapping their gums a lot. But, I think it's false bravado. And having seen a lot of false bravado from Miami over these last 20 years, unfortunately, I know what that looks like. And yeah, they're really scared more than anything, especially they every now and then try to pop up with a meme or something or whatnot. But like, yeah, no, it's false bravado.
We recorded this afternoon with Steve Dace from Michigan Podcast, and very much like a Phil Steele, he goes through the metrics of production returning and all these other factors, and we went through every conference, and he has Miami ranked as the top team in the ACC, and ranks all the positions and then gives point totals. If you're number one in the conference with 17 teams, you get 17 points and on down the line, and gives Miami a fairly substantial lead. Not a blowout, of course, but certainly more than Vegas does over Clemson and Florida State. But he made the comment to me, he goes, is this another banana in the tailpipe deal where he said, I clearly believe that Miami is the best team in the conference. And he went through the positions. He said, offensive line, I believe that they have substantially the best offensive line in the conference, best quarterback in the conference, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. I do. I mean, I was talking to my boy Fred yesterday, and he asked me a question relative to NFL quarterbacks. One of them being Jared Goff for my Detroit Lions, and one of them being somebody else. And he said, take your bias out of it. And I said, no, look, you could take this team from the Lions, right? And which is my whatever. But you could make them into the Arizona Cardinals or insert AFC team. I don't care about. You know what I mean? You could make them the South Dakota State, or like, if there was a pro team or whatever. You could make them whatever other branded team. And with the team with that profile, with those players, with those coaches in that position, regardless of the color they wore or the city that they represented, I'm taking Jared Goff as opposed to the other quarterback in the conversation, who I'm not going to tell you. But in a similar way, right, if you took Miami and made them into Oklahoma, right, and said similar in a similar conversation, like, if Oklahoma was in the ACC and the Miami staff roster, recruits, player, all of that was Oklahoma, was Oklahoma State, was Delaware Tech, whatever. Remove the alma mater, love of the U from it. Put them in whatever branding, in whatever location, representing whatever other institution. If that institution with this team and this staff as currently constructed were in the ACC, you would immediately say that's the best team in the conference. And it's not close. I agree. It's not connected to the fact that it's the University of Miami. Now, the thing about it is, now they need to perform like that. But like you look at it on paper, you look at everything that's built, everybody that's there, I think it's clear that we have the best roster, the best team for this, for this season and everything. I don't think it's close. I really don't think it's close. It's just incumbent upon them to play to the left, to defy what Al Golden said at Cincinnati in 2015, where he said, don't rise to the occasion. Don't play to the moment. Fuck that. Rise to and exceed the moment, right? You have expectations. Again, like I had for the Lions going into last year, I said it's going to be 12 wins in a division championship. And my same friend, Fred, we're going down the schedule, and he said, okay, game 1 in Kansas City. That's a loss. And I said, hold on, wait. Why? He said, oh, you're the Lions going to Kansas City on ring night. And I said, we might lose that game, but we're built to play against them. And there's no game on the schedule that is a automatic obligated loss. And I said all last year, and I tweeted it the whole season, I said, I have these expectations, and I'm leaning into the expectations, and we're going to meet and exceed them. And God damn it, if Josh Reynolds caught that pass on 4th and 2 in San Francisco in the second half, we're going to the Super Bowl. That was the moment, right? That was everything leading up to it. I'm in the same place for these Miami Hurricanes. We're built for this. The schedule is there for it. When you have all kinds of other people saying this is clearly the most talented and best team in the conference, absolutely agree. But just like we talked about earlier with DJ Pickett, it's the thing of we've seen built and should have been successful Miami teams fail to be so. That's the thing holding back. But on an impartial evaluation, I wholeheartedly agree. This is the best team in the conference. And it is incumbent upon them, every single player, every single play, and every single coach, every single play, and every single decision, Mario Cristobal, end of the Georgia Tech game. Every single one has to be built in. There is not another moment. There is not another time. The moment that's in front of you, the play that you're playing is the most important one, and you have to be that serious, focused, and dedicated to it. Because if you go to Georgia and you watch them coach, right, they'll be blowing out Vanderbilt 59-3 in the second quarter. It don't matter. Mark, you missed that. You're supposed to cover the curl flat. Cam, you were supposed to be there behind. But you know what? Y'all got greedy and wanted to go for the sack, and all of a sudden they get a first down. Now we got to be on the field more instead of giving our backup quarterback more reps. Not having it. Nick Saban, the practice video. Damn it, Quantrell running again. And that's a third-string wide receiver who's never going to get in. But you have to have that insane focus on greatness. It is there to be had. It is incumbent upon Miami to do it. But saying that they're the best team in the conference, I feel a pretty, settled science. I feel that that's a pretty incontrovertible truth. Will they play like the best team in the conference? Now that's up for debate.
The plot, it thickens. Paolo taking us back to recruiting here. What goes into a recruiting streak like this with the school working its way back up? Is it Mario's vision, the staff, word spreading about the culture?
All of that and more. I mean, look, we have NIL. That's a part of it. Everywhere, here and elsewhere. It is building relationships. It is having dogged, tireless recruiters. Building those relationships, contacting those kids. It takes incredible evaluation. Because there are times when you have highly rated high school players who do not pan out. And sometimes, we go in different directions from guys. Famously, the worst recruiting miss I ever had at the beginning of my blogging career, was Ermon Lane from Homestead Senior High School. I thought he was him. I thought he was the #1 receiver in America. I thought his 5-star status was too low. I thought he should have been a 6 or 7-star. And I had several people come to me and say, Cam, that ain't it. Like you saw the highlights, but you missed the other things, the game film, and said, nah, man, you don't know what you're talking about. And we are all thinking about that iconic video of him taking 27 years to run that receiver drill at Florida State. And I was just like, and that was like one of his first practices there, literally. And a couple of the guys who I was going back and forth with, they tweeted to me and said, so you want to talk about it? And I said, I was wrong. I was wrong, right? But the staff making the choice not to go after Ermon Lane and go over other guys, that was a good choice. That was a great evaluative process. So it's all the things that you list. Mario's vision, his ability as a recruiter. Everybody, I mean, he won Recruiter of the Year. He's known as one of the best recruiters in America, hiring a staff that does things in a similar way, building out the recruiting department. Steve Field, he went from, coaching tight ends back into recruiting. P.S., by the way, if you didn't know that about Steve Field, he, coached at FAMU, was in their recruiting department, also at Louisville, also at Oregon with Mario Cristobal. You go and hire another couple of guys in the recruiting department just this last week. There was a guy, Love Hylton or something, last name, who was a star. He started at defensive end for Florida State. He's a rising star in the recruiting world. Miami hires him away from Auburn. Hired a blogger, a journalist, Frank Tucker, from the Crib, South Florida, and most recently at Rivals. Hired him up off of that journalism job into the recruiting department. Hired another couple of people I saw into the recruiting department. So you build every part of the organization, of the talent acquisition portion of the organization, in a good way, and it starts to pay off. So it's multifaceted, but yeah, you have to sell some kind of success. If you look and say, hey, remember all those articles, and like, I didn't write them last year. I was going to, right? But I decided not to because like 3 other websites did them. But remember all those articles about how many snaps true freshmen were playing the last 2 years? Hey, if you're a guy to come in and help this program, we are going to play you. That's a thing that matters. Building those relationships. Again, if you've heard Jacksonville Mandarin, that's a school that Miami has recruited for years. And even if you go back to Shaq Quarterman and whatnot, he was at Jacksonville Oakleaf. So was Chance Williams and Jalen Rivers at Oakleaf in Jacksonville. Now, I know Jacksonville is a huge land state or city and everything, but do you think that they would be going to Jacksonville Oakleaf and not swing by Mandarin? You think that we're going to be recruiting Central and not go by Northwestern? You think that we're going to go to St. Thomas and not also recruit Chaminade? Like all of the, so these years-long relationships pay off. So yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, I think if you were to boil it down to one thing, Mario is an incredible recruiter. He has a very clear vision for building this team, roster, and program in a specific way. Has a great group of guys and girls in the recruiting department as well, built or like dialed in of the same mind to make it happen, and finding new and different ways to connect with these players and just leverage those relationships. So that would be like the kind of Cliff's Notes version, but like, to go into like what a streak like this or what goes into it, it would be a much longer conversation because there's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, basically, following the clear lead of Mario Cristobal in so many ways, and just finding new and dynamic interactions for everybody in that portion of the program to make moves happen.
I'd like to remind everyone that we've got a new X account. This is the official Voice of College Football Network X account here. So please join us there at the VOCFB, at the Voice of College Football on X/Twitter. And I don't see anything else in regards to topics.
And I just wanted to circle back as I was having a second to think, because you know that like I answer these questions and iterate live. You know, the earlier question about Chevis Jackson as recruiter. I just want to circle back and add the note again at the end that he went toe to toe with Georgia for Chris Ewald and won that recruitment. You know what I mean? Like there are things to like. You know, this is a and I think this class is being built really well. I think that this, roster is going in a good way. Speaking of which, EA Sports released their top 100 players rated in the game. I find it curious that like everybody in the world has been very vocal of like Cam Ward is like a top 3 or 5 quarterback in the country. He's clearly the best player on this roster, and yet he's at best the 4th highest rated player in the game on the roster. It's Damian Martinez, Ruben Bain, and Xavier Restrepo in that order, rated 91, 91, 90, or 91, 90, 90, I believe. And it's just like, well, I don't know about that. I do think that they did some vanity ratings and some popularity ratings for some players. I think that I think that they went with some name brand kind of stuff. Like, oh, this is a player who's known, so we're going to give them this super high rating. But then Donovan Edwards, who's like on the cover of the game as 92 speed only, Donovan Edwards, excuse me, and is like not even really that high. Now, I don't think he's the best player in the country, but I know that he's faster than some of these other players. It's just an interesting kind of a thing. So I'll be very interested to see and go through the entire roster. Started with Miami, obviously, when the game comes out. But I just thought it curious that like everybody's like, hey, Cam Ward this, Cam Ward that, inside the building, outside the building, da-da-da-da. And at best, the leader of the team and best player in real life on our roster is no higher than 4th in the ratings for the game. But we're going to check it out next week. I won't see it until Sunday when I'm back from my work trip. But I will. That might be a thing where I go in and manually edit rosters before I start my legacy, because there's a couple that I really disagree with. But that's a conversation for another time.
State of the U this week.
Yeah, so just wrote about the Utah game. Justin Tatavio has summer scheming. I've seen Craig T. Smith was his Monday musings and a couple other things. So we got stuff over there. Find out all the goodies and treasures at stateoftheu.com. Again, always refresh yourself on the recruiting rules and last year's signing day stream and all those kind of things, because I work really, really, really hard on that. And yeah, I will have to look in the chat later. But yeah, man, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Like I said, I am going on a work trip next week, so I will have to bid you all adieu, but hopefully have somebody to, aptly step in and warm the seat for me while I'm away. But it's always great to see you guys. We're counting down under about 50 days left until Miami beats Florida, and we're going to go from there. So, as always, we appreciate it. I'll check in with you guys soon, and go Canes.
Kim, you are now familiar with our deep dives with Tony Altimore. You took part in our Miami, Clemson, Florida State deep dive. We've got a barn burner coming up here in about a half hour, folks, over on the national channel, Ohio State in Michigan. So there may be a few fist fights in the chat over that one. So it should be interesting. It's if you've not joined us for a deep dive, please do. It's well worth the education, football, athletics, education, culture, media, influence across the board. All right, Cam.
Yeah, it was good and fun when I did that, and you're going to learn a lot. So definitely go and check that out. But sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, man, I definitely appreciate it. Always good to see you, Mark, and we'll check in a little bit, man. Take care.
Have a great trip. We'll see you.
Will do. See ya.